Okay, so chances are your organization can probably make a list of all the AI systems it's using, right? But here's the thing. That's just a list. It's an inventory. The real question, the one that actually matters, is which of those systems could seriously hurt your business? Figuring that out is everything. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. When we talk about AI risk, a lot of people think about a system just glitching out. But it's so much bigger than that. We're talking about massive blind spots, the kind of blind spots that can tank your reputation, wreck your finances, and land you in legal hot water. Our job is to shine a big, bright light on them. All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with AI's hidden dangers. Then we'll get into something called the risk equation. After that, we'll cover 5 specific areas you need to investigate. We'll see how to turn all this theory into real action. And finally, how to build AI that you can actually be confident in. So let's talk about those hidden dangers. Because really, the biggest risks with AI, they're usually not the ones staring you right in the face. They're the ones lurking just beneath the surface, totally invisible, until, of course, they cause a huge problem. Okay, this all sounds pretty complex, right? Well, to get a handle on it, we need a simple way to think about it. And believe it or not, it all boils down to a really simple formula. This is the key to making this whole thing manageable.
So, what is an AI risk assessment, really? Well, at the end of the day, it's just a process for answering 2 simple but super important questions. First, if this AI messes up, how bad is the damage going to be? We call that the impact. And second, what are the odds it's actually going to mess up? And that's the likelihood.
And that brings us to this simple equation. You see, risk isn't just one thing. It's what you get when you multiply likelihood by impact. This is so important. You could have something that almost never happens, but if the impact is an absolute catastrophe, well, that's still a huge risk. On the other hand, you could have a little bug that pops up all the time, but if the impact is tiny, it's probably not your biggest worry.
And this formula gives us a super practical tool, the risk matrix. Just look at this. It helps you see your priorities at a glance. Anything that lands in that top right box, high impact, high likelihood, that's a 5-alarm fire. That's what you need to deal with right now. Something down in the bottom left? Well, you can probably breathe a little easier about that one.
Okay, so we've got our framework, but how do you actually figure out the likelihood and impact for your AI? Well, you need to put on your detective hat. And lucky for us, we have a toolkit with 5 key areas to investigate. Think of these as your 5 big questions for any AI system. So here they are. 1, bias and fairness. 2, privacy and data use. 3, safety and reliability. 4, security and resilience. And 5, accountability and transparency. If you look at an AI through these 5 lenses, you're going to get a really complete picture of its risk profile. Let's break them down one by one. First up is bias and fairness. This is a big one. You hear about it all the time and for good reason. Now, here's the absolute key thing to understand. The bias is almost never in the code. It's hiding in the data. Take that classic example of a recruitment AI. No one coded it to be biased against women. It was just trained on years of hiring data that already favored men, so it just learned that pattern. It's a mirror. And that's exactly it. The AI isn't told to discriminate. It just does it. Silently. It picks up on the biases that are already out there in the world, and then, a lot of the time, it makes them even worse. And while the problem starts quietly, the consequences, we're talking major lawsuits, we're talking a PR nightmare, are anything but.
All right, next up, privacy and data. You can't have AI without data. They're 2 sides of the same coin. And what's kind of scary is how good these systems can be at figuring out or even just straight up memorizing sensitive info about people, even if you thought you scrubbed it. So you've got to be on the lookout for red flags. Are your models trained on raw, unanonymized customer data? Do your vendors get a little cagey when you ask how they handle data? Big red flags.
Okay, number 3 is safety and reliability. A common mistake is thinking you can just launch an AI model and forget about it. Nope. The world changes, and as new data comes in, the model's performance can slowly get worse and worse. It's called model drift. So safety isn't just about making sure it works on day 1. It's about monitoring it, and this is crucial, having a plan B. What's your rollback plan when performance starts to dip? And that brings us to security. This is a whole new ballgame. AI creates brand new ways for bad guys to attack. They can secretly poison the data you train your model on, corrupting it from the very beginning. They can figure out how to trick it into giving them weird or even dangerous results. Your standard cybersecurity firewall, it's probably not looking for this stuff. Okay, so we've gone through the detective work. We know what to look for. But just having a list of risks doesn't do you any good. An assessment is totally pointless if it just sits on a shelf. The whole idea is to turn this knowledge into action. Let's look at how you make that happen. And this is where the rubber meets the road. Once you score your systems using that impact and likelihood formula, you can create something like this, a simple chart that makes everything crystal clear. Look, your customer service chatbot, maybe it's a medium risk. If it messes up, it's annoying, but life goes on. But that AI model deciding who gets a loan, the impact there is huge. It can change someone's life. That's a high-risk system, and you'd better be giving it a ton of attention. Let's make this real. There was a fintech company using an AI to set credit limits. Seemed great, super efficient, but when they actually did a risk assessment, they found it was biased against younger people. And here's the cool part. They didn't panic and shut it down. They took clear, specific actions. They went back, retrained the model on better, more balanced data, and they added a checkpoint where a human could review the AI's decisions. And the result? Just from that one fix, a 60% drop in their risk exposure. I mean, that's huge. But almost as important, the next time a regulator knocked on their door, they weren't scrambling. They had all the paperwork ready to go, proving they were on top of it. That is what happens when you turn these ideas into actual practice. Now, it's important to note that this process we're talking about, it's not just some good idea we cooked up. This approach plugs directly into the major global standards that are being built for responsible AI right now. Take a look. The whole idea of measuring risk, that's a core piece of the NIST AI risk management framework, which is a huge deal in the US. And it lines up perfectly with ISO 42001, which is the big international standard. So what we're talking about here isn't just some abstract concept, it's built on a solid foundation that experts all over the world agree on. And please, don't think of these frameworks as just more compliance paperwork. They're not just a checklist to keep the auditors happy. You should think of them as playbooks. They're literally the instructions for how to build AI that works, that's safe, and that people can actually trust. So at the end of the day, assessing AI risk isn't about being scared. It's not about fear-mongering. It's actually the complete opposite. It's about building confidence. When you know what the risks are and you have a plan to manage them, you gain the confidence to really innovate and use this amazing technology the right way. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Think about it. From the apps on your phone to the tools at your job, AI is already woven into our daily lives. So the question becomes, who's responsible for it? Who is ultimately accountable for making sure the AI you use every day is safe and fair? It's a question we all need to be asking.
This episode was brought to you by Complianta, the boutique consultancy helping organizations build secure, ethical, and audit-ready AI systems. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one, explaining practical guides on AI risk management, ISO 42001, and responsible innovation. Want to know where your organization stands? Book your free AI risk assessment today at complianta.co. You'll find the link right below in the video description. Complianta, compliance made simple.